Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Beth. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I am a big fan of the show Bridgerton. And so I have kind of made it my personal mission to try as many of the Bridgerton collabs as I can. So if you are a fan of the show and are interested in some of the collaborations that they are doing this season, make sure to like and subscribe. I recently posted a video all about the Bath and Body Works collection, and I picked up, I think, all of the Target collection as well. So again, make sure to stay tuned for that. But for today, we are trying out the Kiko Milano makeup collection. So again, I purchased quite a bit of it. I didn't purchase everything, and I will say that it appears some items are available on the Nordstrom website, but not on the Kiko website. So I'll have links to everything down below. Those are affiliate links. So if you'd like to use them and help support my channel, I would very much appreciate it. But no pressure with that. So I did end up picking up some pieces from Nordstrom. Before I launch into that, I will say that I am trying out a new microphone system. I have one of the DJI microphones here. So the audio might sound a little bit different. I'm trying to make it so I can keep the air conditioning on while I'm filming because otherwise it just gets a little bit unbearable during the summer. So I'm happy for any feedback, but I just wanted to mention that as well. Okay, so for the items I didn't pick up. So I didn't pick up any of the Gilded Glaze Shimmering Cream eyeshadows. That product comes in three shades for $21. So we have Whimsical Wildflower, Lady Whistledown's Whisper, and Gilded Apricot. And then I didn't pick up any of the Opulent Aura lip balms. And that product comes in four shades for $18. We have Dazzling, Dahlia, Lady Lilac, Coral Persuasion, and Iridescent Ivy. So I'll quickly mention what I did pick up, and then I will have timestamps down below if you'd like to jump ahead to a particular portion. And part of my goal here with this video is to compare some of these Kiko Milano products to comparable products from the Pat McGrath Bridgerton collection. So I'll insert B-roll as we go along if you'd like to see some comparisons. So anyway, I got two of the Ballroom Beauty Satin Shine lipsticks. There are six shades in total. I got one of the Brilliant Bliss lip glosses, this one right here. This is Blushing Nectarine, and this is their, I think, only solid shade in the lineup. I didn't pick up any of the shimmery ones. So that's what that looks like. There are four shades in total. I also picked up the Featherington Fancy Eyeshadow Stick, which seems to be a product exclusive to Nordstrom. I don't even see it on the Kiko website, which is interesting. The Ballroom Bling Liquid Eyeliner. I got two out of the three eyeshadow palettes. So I'll compare and talk about those. And then finally, I got both of the blush and highlighter duos. So that is everything I picked up. And I thought I might start off just by applying the lip gloss kind of as a lip oil. So just a quick note on the pricing of this collection. It seems like the items are considerably more expensive than Kiko's usual lineup, which is part of the reason why I only picked up some pieces and not the entire collection. I admit I was expecting things to be a little bit less expensive. And just to demonstrate that fact, the lipsticks, for example, are $25 each. A typical lipstick from Kiko, from what I saw on their website, is about 15. So they jacked the price up by about 67%, which is kind of a lot. I know they have to like pay for the IP and everything like that, but it does seem like it was quite a jump. So this Brilliant Bliss lip gloss, and this is what the outer packaging looks like. I don't necessarily love it. I don't hate it. I think on the whole, I think I prefer the Bridgerton original Bridgerton collection from Pat McGrath in terms of packaging. But this one, it's not bad. So this is the shade 02 Blushing Nectarine. This retails for $21. And like I said, it comes in four shades. It says, prime your lips for a lover's kiss with this high shine lip gloss in a curated collection of embellished finishes. A sheer sheen and juicy shine layer onto lips for luxurious, non sticky wear. Plus, a sweet cookie flavor makes your pout royally irresistible. The non sticky formula features a sheer pigment with a high shine finish. And again, the packaging, I don't mind it. I don't think like it's anything super luxurious or high end, but I think it looks fine. And all of the products save one, I think, are made in the US, which I thought was interesting. If you're not familiar, Kiko is a an Italian makeup brand, and a lot of people, especially with powder formulas, tend to really like Italian formulas. But we don't get any of this in this collection, even for the kind of elevated price point. So that is what the doe foot looks like. It's very thin lip gloss. I would say it's almost kind of leaning more into the oil territory. Yeah, and it does, I think, cookie, vanilla, I think, a sweet vanilla scent. And those smell very much like a MAC lipstick, that kind of vanilla scent. So nothing that would be, I think, too remarkable. So yeah, it's a nice formula. Like I said, it's definitely on the thinner side, but I think it looks nice. Sometimes with lip glosses that are too opaque, you worry about things being a little goopy, but I think this one, like, it gives you some nice color. I kind of applied a little bit more, but you could definitely kind of shear it out a little bit more. So, is it worth $21? And again, comparing these a little bit to Pat McGrath because she has done a Bridgerton collection before. I do really like the Pat McGrath formula. I don't think she released any lip glosses in her Bridgerton collections that I can recall. So her lip glosses are 29. As we all know, Pat McGrath frequently does sales. The glosses can be half off at points, so that would take it down to about 15 or even 12, I think I've seen. But even if you take off like 30%, which I think is something she does a lot, that would be, I can only do so much math in my head. Yeah, so that would make it about the same price. So at that point, it's like Kiko, they're kind of more in the high end price range almost, as opposed to like a drugstore price range, at least for this collection. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do next, I'm just going to let that hang out on the lips, and I'll talk about the lipsticks later on. So I think first of all, I'll talk about this Featherington Fancy Eyeshadow Stick. So this was something I purchased from Nordstrom, and one thing that was less than ideal is that Nordstrom does, I think, put these stickers on the cosmetics items that they sell, and the stickers don't really want to come off easily. So I think with all of the items I purchased from Nordstrom, the stickers were at least in a kind of like inconspicuous spot. Not ideal. I kind of understand why Nordstrom does that, but anyway. So this, like I said, it was only on the Nordstrom website. I didn't see it on the Kiko website at all. And this is in the shade Whispering Wisteria. I'm not a huge liquid cream eyeshadow person, which is why I didn't pick up any of the true liquid eyeshadows. But as I've talked about, I really do like that kind of wisteria shade. You can see I'm actually wearing a box lunch Bridgerton shirt that I got, which is in a similar color anyway. So my nose is running. Kind of love seasonal allergies. Okay. So anyway, so this is an eyeshadow stick, and I just saw Angelica Nyqvist in one of her like new makeup videos talk about this collection, and she did say that she really liked their eyeshadow sticks. So I thought that was interesting. But this says layer on an instant love affair with this ultra creamy lilac hued eyeshadow stick. Made to make a statement, you'll bring a Bridgerton level floral scape to lids in a few easily blendable swipes for a monochromatic iridescent finish fit for a fling in the garden. The delicate lilac shade delivers a monochrome effect, and the creamy formula blends to perfection with a metallic iridescent finish. So this retails for $21, and this was the only product, like I said, that wasn't made in the US. This was made in Germany, which I thought was interesting. And I'm just seeing if the end. Nope. I thought the end was going to be a sharpener, but it's okay. So that is what the. I guess it makes sense not to have a sharpener with this style of component. But let's get nice and close. So I think what I'm planning here, because I do have two eyeshadow palettes, I think I might just apply this and then apply the liner over it and then remove it and then do the other eyeshadow. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Normally, I wear eyeshadow primer, especially with, okay, it's crumbling off a little bit. Normally, I wear eyeshadow primer, which you can use. Maybe I'll back up just a tad. You can use this style of product as a primer. It's definitely going to be on the dry side. I mean, you can just see kind of how it's crumbling a little bit. So definitely getting some color payoff. Not obviously going to be doing a wear test. I just kind of want to see how much I can build up the color. And I'm just kind of blending that out with a Rephr B01. I think this is technically supposed to be a concealer brush, but yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I for application purposes, it would be nice if it were a little bit creamier, but obviously the more emollient you make something, the more likely it is to crease and not set down. So I like the color. I'm just, like I said, not totally sold on this type of product. But if you like more of the kind of one and done look, and like I said, you can kind of approach it with a lighter hand as well. So that is the eyeshadow stick. And then we have the Ballroom Bling Liquid Eyeliner, which is right here. It says this glamorous liquid eyeliner will give heirloom level sparkle to your look. With a violet blue hue and metallic iridescent finish, this gliding liquid texture brings a bling like finish to your eyes that elevates your look to high society status. It includes an ultra precise applicator for clean lines. The liquid texture glides on with unmistakable ease and a metallic iridescent finish. So this retails for $20 and the shade is Hydrangea Heirloom. And this is, like I said, made in the US. This I also purchased from Nordstrom. I wasn't going to get this at first, but I saw the eyeshadow stick, and so I decided that I should get the kind of matching eyeliner. So let's try this out. I'm a little nervous about this. It's a very fine applicator. It's pretty. What I might do actually is try to get some of this onto a brush. For me personally, I find it a little bit easier to control this kind of tiny angle brush as opposed to a longer, thinner brush. So yeah, very, very pretty, nice duochrome. I'm not like a liquid eyeliner expert, so I just kind of tried to get some on this brush. I just want to see if I can create. Looks like I don't have enough. It's hard as well to do this kind of one-handed. See that? That kind of almost applies too much. So it's definitely pretty, definitely a statement. I think what I might do here, because I'm going to be removing this, I'm just going to take this. and just apply some to my hand. It is really pretty. Even in the package, it's like a nice, that kind of duochrome. So, like I said, if you just want to have a bit of fun with it, you can definitely see wanting to pick it up. And then I'll swatch this pencil or eyeshadow stick next to it. It seems like it did warm up a bit on my hand. So that might be a tip just to kind of get it going. But yeah, I think those two products are really pretty together. Okay, so to remove this, hopefully I can do this without having to redo my concealer and base. Seems like it's coming off pretty well. This is, I don't know, just some random micellar water that I have. I don't think it's like waterproof necessarily. Think, I mean, there's, I think, going to be a little bit of residual sparkle there. I'm not sure how much. Try and use some tape here. I think that's probably good enough. So I just to add a little bit of hydration back to the eyelid. This is what I use as eye cream sometimes if I just want kind of hydration. Just get a tiny bit. And I'll let that kind of sink in while I'm doing the other eyelid. Okay, so for the other two palettes, the reason I picked up the two that I did is because they seemed quite similar online, and I kind of wanted to see what the difference was. So these are the Quartet eyeshadow palettes, and I got the shades Ballroom Bliss and Romantic Rhapsody. The one that I didn't get had kind of more had warmer shades to it. I think there was a green, that kind of thing. So these retail for $32 each, again, made in the US. It says each eyeshadow shade delivers rich pigment to lids. This palette includes matte, metallic, and shimmering shades. The extra soft texture blends effortlessly for a day to night look you'll love. So, again, kind of standard packaging there, nothing too exciting. Has the name on the top there. They only have shade numbers, they don't have shade names, which I always find to be a bit of a missed opportunity. They could have come up with some fun names, although I think on the whole they did have plenty of fun naming the items in the collection and these descriptions. I think a lot of them are pretty fun. So you open it and no mirror, which for a palette at this price point, again, I'm a little bit kind of side eyeing it. Uh, Pat McGrath, we know she had a six pan palette, so I can't really compare that. And her normal quads, I want to say, are in the like the $50 range. But again, you always have to kind of consider, you always have to kind of knock off 30% or so just to kind of be realistic about it. Yeah, so 62. Oh, she has her like 5 pan palettes that she comes out with for the holidays. Those were originally 36 for five. And now, for example, it looks like they're marked down to 25. Her mini palettes are like 29 for 6 shades. But yeah, 62 as far as like the black plastic with the mirror and everything, those are 62. So again, I feel like price point, I think everything is honestly a little bit overpriced. But these are the two that I was talking about, and you can see the lightest matte shade is definitely different in both of the palettes, but each of them have like a darker brown matte, kind of a purpley metallic, and a gold metallic. So I really just wanted to compare these two to see kind of why, basically. So this one is Ballroom Bliss, and this one is Romantic Rhapsody. So I guess I'll start off with Ballroom Bliss, and I'll go in on this eye. I'm just going to use the Fenty eyeshadow primer. So, might give that other eye just another second to kind of settle in. I am wearing the new Fenty foundation, by the way, and I'm not sure that I love it. but we'll see. So yeah, again, this is the inner packaging for the Mcgrath palette. So we do have some of the foiling and then uh, the mirror and everything. Did have some special embossing. Part of me, as much as I enjoy embossing, it is kind of a relief when there isn't any embossing because then I don't have to worry about kind of not messing anything up. So going in with that cream matte shade on a Sigma Large Fluff E50, and I have to remember which eye I'm doing here. So this shade is light enough that I feel like I can use it kind of all over. I like to set my primer. I could also do this with a translucent powder or face powder. And then with the same shade, I'm going to take my little flat definer from Sonia G and just put some kind of on the lower lash line. And then because I'm not sure kind of how pigmented this shade is going to be, I haven't swatched them or anything yet as I'm filming. So I'm going to take the mini booster and go into the dark brown. And okay, definitely, definitely some pigment. But I feel like even for someone with my skin tone, like it's not anything super crazy that you won't be able to blend. So taking the classic crease without anything on it and just kind of blending that out. So again, pretty easy. I might actually go in with the same brown shade a little bit on this as well. Kind of depends like how much you want to build something up, how dramatic you want to make it. But yeah, they seem to be blending pretty nicely. I did, I think, check and let's see. The eyeshadow palette from Pat McGrath was actually made in Italy, ironic. I think her lipsticks were made in the US, and we'll get to the blushes and the highlighter in a moment. But yeah, the reason why I'm just kind of harping on that is because sometimes you do expect to pay a premium for like Italian products, even though, like I said, this is a kind of drugstore brand. They used to have more stores in the US, but I think they've kind of pulled out. Right now, they have, I think, a couple stores in Miami. But anyway, okay, so going in with that purple shade on a Rephr 28, this is a dry brush. So a lot of times I just kind of like to see how a formula is going to kind of pick up and lay down without wetting the brush. And this isn't like a super foiled or impactful shade really. And the same brush going into that bronze shade, I guess you would call it. I did check that might actually have more to it. Let's see. Okay, so this one I think is gonna actually have better payoff just as it is. Yeah, it would have been nice if one of these metallics had been a little bit deeper. I'm pulling that purple kind of towards the inner. Usually I like to kind of have the outer corner have more depth. So it's fine. In a way, the color it looks a bit like a bruise, kind of having that purple yellowness going on. The interesting thing about the Pat McGrath collab is that the makeup artist on set did actually use Pat McGrath products, at least I think after the first season. I think the first season makeup artist might have been someone else. I have a fairly old video actually on my channel. So taking that kind of bronzy shade. I just feel like I need to add a little bit down here. Yeah, I have a fairly old video where I kind of tried to actually recreate the look that Daphne Bridgerton had in the first season using the products that the makeup artist said she used. I'm gonna take this Rephr 2. I just want to try and soften this outer edge a bit. So yeah, it's interesting that they didn't go with Pat McGrath for a third collection, although I don't know. Judging by how some things showed up on like TJ Maxx or whatever, maybe it didn't sell as well as they hoped, or Pat McGrath just kind of, I don't know, kind of ran out of ideas maybe. So all right. So I'm just gonna leave that for now. Actually, I'm gonna take a little bit more of the cream matte and just soften this. So it's fine. Unless you just want this to look at, I would say so far, I would suggest the eyeshadow stick and the liner, I think, are more kind of Bridgerton-esque, if you will, and just, I don't know, more fun, more kind of in keeping with the colors of the show, and still see some fallout. So for this eye, because the lighter matte is a little bit deeper, I think I will set it. So I've been using this Laura Mercier powder and I like it. I don't love the component because partly whenever you open it, I don't know if this is a intended feature or just how it is, but you press this to open it and well, it's not going to do it now, is it? Okay, so the way I would open it, use my left hand. The powder component actually pops up with the mirror. So then you get the puff and you can kind of move it down or whatever. But I don't use the puff, so I would rather it just go directly to the powder. The powder portion also feels it just feels a bit cheap. It almost feels like those kind of disposable, well, not disposable, but like the little plastic inserts that you get on like a cream eyeshadow to try and keep it fresh. It kind of gives me that kind of vibe in terms of the quality of it. So I don't know. I like the powder. I'm not in love with the component, and I really wish she had taken a note from Charlotte Tilbury or even Natasha Denona with her powder foundation now, and making it refillable or at least making the pan removable. But alas. Okay, so I already used that one. This one is the Romantic Rhapsody. So taking my classic crease and going into that, it's almost a mauve shade, really. So, okay, that has a fair bit of pigment. So I should be swatching these next to each other, especially the similar shades. So we'll see how they end up looking on the eyelid here. All right, so taking my mini booster and going into the dark brown. I always like to kind of create this outer V or outer 7, I've heard it described as, to try and like lift the eye, elongate things. And then taking the classic crease without any extra product and just blending it in. And then I'll take the flat definer. You can still see some of those sparkles coming through, but I'm not sure if it is blending quite as well on this eye. That could be in part because that was the eye that I did earlier, so we're not kind of starting with a fresh canvas. I'm just gonna take a little bit more of that first rosy matte shade. to try and, I don't know, kind of try to blend that out a little bit. All right, so taking my flat definer with the lighter matte, perhaps not ideal to put this color right under the eyes because it can end up looking like an eye infection, which unfortunately I have recent experience with. But, but anyway, I'm just going with it. Okay, so I am very curious. I'm going to swatch these. That's the kind of bronzier shade. And purple. They both feel kind of the same. Guess I'll start with that kind of more burgundy shade on a dry Rephr 28. This is a clean, fresh brush, so this one is applying a little bit better than that other purple. Definitely more kind of cranberry though. So I'm just flipping the brush over, going into that more kind of gold shade. So yeah, so I kind of, I guess, get what they're going for. I'm just trying to kind of blend the two. Kind of, the more regal, opulent kind of look. But I think I prefer the pastels. I think this just ends up looking kind of muddy. I don't want to take both of them off, to be honest, and just reapply the other shade. Um, so yeah, so I don't think formula or color story they're anything that special. So I would I would probably recommend skipping the palettes if I were you. It's funny how sometimes the products we didn't expect to get are the ones that we end up liking the most. All right, so like I said, I'm going to, I think, remove both of these because it looks like I got punched in the face, which we don't want. So I'm just taking some micellar water again. And if they were the same, like I could make it work. I think, they would look fine. They're just not not exciting, not anything special. All right, so I removed that and reapplied it to the lid. I want to put a little bit underneath. So I'm going to take the BK Nikki LaRose brush N12 and just try to pick up some on the bristles there. I really wish they had just kind of given us like an all kind of pastel palette that would have complemented this eyeshadow stick because it's not a color you see all that often. There's a shade in the ABH Nouveau palette called Wisteria, which is obviously very similar. But other than that, I'm sure there are indie brands that have done it and that kind of thing. But I would say the shades in their actual palettes are ones that you see much more frequently. So I don't think this is a super opaque liner, but I feel like there's enough reflect in it that it gives you that effect kind of thing. It's hard to be precise though, as you can see. And if your eye starts to water, you can have a glitter universe. Yeah. You know what I wish they had done? If they could have done it with this formula, I wish they'd done like a potted gel lighter. That would have been a lot easier to manipulate. And I guess I'm not sure if they could have achieved the same effect. I think we might just have to deal with some glitter fallout. I think I did my base before this video started just to kind of, make the actual video shorter. But I think if I were to redo this, I would definitely do my eyes first. I just want to See if I can build it up. Yeah, the actual lash line is fine. It's when I try to do a wing that it gets a little questionable. And I'm not sure if I got something in my eye. As you know, I did have other stuff, so I've like taken it off and reapplied. But hopefully you get the effect. Let's just throw some mascara on and call it a day with that. So using my Clinique bottom lash and then my Tarte Lights Camera Splashes. It's even gotten up here, it looks like. So I guess the good news is the eyeshadow stick doesn't seem to be creasing immediately. Definitely does have like a drier finish to it. You definitely do have to build it up though if you want like full opacity or even partial opacity. All right. So better with the mascara on, I think. But yeah, I still recommend it. Like I said, I do think I would have preferred a potted liner, but just to show you kind of, I mean, I think they do set down. I think there's a little bit of sparkle that kind of rubs off. So issues with my eye watering aside, and a little bit of trouble with the wing. I think it's really pretty. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's an indie uh, makeup company out there that's done something similar, maybe done it better. I don't know. But yeah, I like it, especially if you want something in the Bridgerton collection. One of the advantages, I guess, in the palette is that arguably they will last longer. That is another point I wanted to mention, at least when it came to the lipsticks, is that it does seem like Pat McGrath did have a longer shelf life on her products. Like the eyeshadow palette was 18 months. The Kiko products were 12 for the eyeshadow palettes anyway. Looks like just about everything is 12 months from the Kiko collection. Let's talk about the blush and the highlighter. There's two different ones here. They say a lit from within glow sweeps the high points of the face and effortlessly rosy hued shades kiss the skin with soothing magnolia bark extract for a cheeky flush. Both formulas boast ultra rich formulas with a seamless blend for a naturally radiant finish. It blends seamlessly for a natural finish and delivers rich, buildable color payoff. Blush even helps soothe skin with added magnolia bark extract. There's a little bit of repetition in there. These each retail for $29 and these are made in the US. So these are pretty small. Okay, so you get 5.3 grams in this little duo. So it's quite petite compared to the kind of duo blushes plus highlighter we got from Pat McGrath. This was 10.5 grams. So almost twice as much, which there's another blush. So I guess that makes sense. Again, I'll do some comparison swatches, but just to show you, the shades in this product are all permanent. So we had Cherish, which I think is the brighter pink, Nymphette, and Venus Nectar. So we had a pinkier one, a nuder one, and then a uh, highlighter. So I got both of these. Again, no mirror. This one does have a mirror. And the Pat McGrath products, for the most part, aren't available, at least not firsthand. So this is just to kind of show you if you already have Pat McGrath, do you need to pick these up? So online, I was really curious because the highlighters, they didn't look too different. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit lighter, and the blush on that one looks like it has a little bit more. I guess it's rosy, but it's a warmer rose. It's leaning into coral a little bit more, and the other one is more of a berry. So that that might actually work for me. The lighter highlighter that looks like it's going to be too gold. So if you are my skin tone, just based on the swatches, I would definitely recommend Bridgerton Bouquet. So that is going to be those two shades. And then the other one is going to be those two shades. So I think I'll start off with this one, and I'll use my Rephr number 5 brush. They do feel nice, so I'm a little worried they might be a little bit too much. So yeah, I just kind of tapped it. So I think I would definitely recommend going in kind of with a light hand. And I think already these are 29 as opposed to 32 for the eyeshadow palettes. I think I would recommend these over the eyeshadow. I mean, they're not anything super unique perhaps, but I think they're just going to be nicer to interact with, I guess. So taking the same brush, although I could really probably use one that didn't pick up much. So again, I'm kind of gonna tap off as much of the excess as I can. So that's the lighter shade, and then this one, I use the other side of the brush. I think if you're my skin tone, you can kind of get away with both. I would just recommend again going in with a light hand. I think both of these are pretty pigmented. So unless you have a strong preference for one one shade over the other, which one you pick up might be more dependent on the highlighter shade. I flip the brush over, and so we are quite blushed. And if that happens, if you want to kind of tone it down a little bit, you can just take your face powder, your powder brush, or even like your foundation brush or beauty blender, kind of just buff it in a little bit and just kind of do that. So yeah, they don't look too different on the cheek. But like I said, I did kind of go in with a light hand. All right, and then taking my A23 brush from Anastasia, and then this is, make sure I use the right one. Rose Ecstasy. Did I tell you guys the right one before? So taking that, they are a little bit powdery. I think they do kind of kick up a bit. I think if I look right ahead, there is a little bit of a cast. So trying to blend that down a little bit. But to be fair, the Pat McGrath uh, palette, this highlighter was also, I think, a little bit too deep for me. Same for the individual highlighter, I think was too deep. I like the Lunar Allure shade from Pat McGrath. It's hard to please everyone, but I think if you do have a slightly deeper skin tone, you might be able to get away with it. So I'll just kind of, I guess, do the same on the other side. Yeah, and I think if you do have texture, it's definitely going to emphasize it. Fortunately, I don't think it's probably like one of the most sophisticated highlighter formulas. And because it's a little bit deep for me, I think it definitely kind of pops on my skin tone in a negative way, let's say. Okay, so I think that's it for the blush and highlighter. So all we have left are the lipsticks. And I will say that I think there is still some product on the lips. I think that's a mark in its favor. It hasn't like completely just disappeared. I think my lips feel hydrated. So I feel like I could definitely reapply at this point. I might have taken a sip of my sparkling water here. I guess I haven't been like doing anything where it would wear off like super quickly. All right. So I'm just going to take tissue and just kind of remove any excess product on the lips. Okay, so I have 2 of the lipsticks, and I picked these in particular, 1 because I thought they would suit me the best, and secondly, because they looked similar to some of the Pat McGrath lipsticks, and these you can still purchase. I think the outer packaging might be different, but the inner component is the same. And as I said, these retail for $30 versus 25 for the Kiko. And again, you knock off 30%, they're down to 21. So we'll see how these Kiko ones are. If you don't care too much about that outer component, it may just be worthwhile picking up the Pat McGrath. And these ones I did purchase from Nordstrom. The collection launched initially on the Kiko website, but then it seems like there's still some products that aren't available on the Kiko website that are available on Nordstrom. So it's a bit strange. And I think some Nordstrom stores actually have like a Bridgerton pop up, which I haven't seen in person or anything. But if you have, let me know. I'd be interested to see kind of how they did it. So again, just talking about component. Hopefully, you'll see in the B-roll, but even though this component in some ways was a bit of a downgrade from the regular Pat McGrath packaging with the lips because this gold bit was painted or printed on as opposed to being like a separate material or element, it still does have the bow, which is kind of fun. This just has a bee printed on it and the Bridgerton Kiko logo, and that's basically it. This has, a shinier finish to the plastic. This one is a little bit more matte. And when you take it off, neither one of these is magnetic. This one does have Kiko Milano on the inside as well. And like I said, these have a vanilla scent. I mean, it's pleasant, nothing crazy. And yeah, just your standard lipstick bullet, no embossing or anything like that. So yeah, component wise, I don't know that they really did anything above and beyond. I do like that they have the kind of color indicator on the bottoms here. The Pat McGrath shades all look the same, so that is a bit of an improvement. But anyway, the 2 shades that I got are it just has O3 and O5. So I do wish that they had the actual shade names, although maybe they didn't have space. So O3 is Timeless Love and O5 is Lover's Whisper. It says, adorn your lips in riches with this collection of 6 fairy tale lipstick shades in a satin dream finish. With a moisturizing, non sticky formula enriched with shea butter and a comfortable, lightweight texture, these timeless colors will sweep you right off your feet. So there are 6 shades in total, like I mentioned. These are made in the US. And this shade number 3, that's one pass right there. And the 3 Pat McGrath shades I have Nude Romantique 2, which is a cool neutral pink nude. So that one is definitely going to be beigeier. There might be a shade that is more similar in the Kiko line, but it was a little hard to see just from pictures. And then Veiled Rose is a mid-tone mauve pink. And this one, I did 2 passes there, but similar. It's maybe a touch lighter, a touch pinker, but you can see there's definitely some similarity in the styles of colors. Not that like Pat McGrath kind of broke the mold on these colors or anything. And then the shade number 5 from Kiko is right there. And I thought that one might be similar to Infatuation, which is a vivid, cool tone berry pink. So that one is right there. So again, similar. Say that Pat McGrath is maybe a touch deeper, but do these have a scent? I don't smell one, but these are a bit older. So it might have kind of doesn't actually smell that good, actually. But like I said, these are permanent, I think. So you could get new versions of them if you wanted. Yeah, I don't smell anything. All right, so let's go ahead and try on number 3. So no lip liner. These do have a good amount of opacity, I think. Definitely a satin formula. So that is number 3. I like it. I don't know if I love it with this eye look. It's looking a little bit more brown. And then removing that and applying number 5. This is a color I probably would prefer to have a lip liner with, but I just want you to be able to see the true color. So nothing too crazy unique. It's a satin lipstick. I'm pretty sure I have a lip liner I could use with this shade, but I'll just leave it there for the purposes of this video. Hasn't gotten on my teeth so far, so that's a win. So anyway, so that is the final item in this collection. Let me know what you guys think. So if you didn't gather as we went along, I think I would definitely recommend, I guess, the eyeshadow pencil and the liner just for their kind of uniqueness. Not products I will gravitate towards every day. If you do want just kind of a more everyday items that you can use and incorporate. Okay, there it goes. That you can use and incorporate into your routine. I think the blush and highlighter duos are nice. Just kind of be aware of whether the highlighters will work for you. Of course, you can always just use the blushes and not the highlighters at the same time if you wanted. The lip gloss was nice. So I would recommend that again if you just want a little Bridgerton treat. The eyeshadow palettes, I'd probably say skip. I don't think they were anything that special, to be honest. So, yeah, I would probably recommend skipping those. I think those were also the more expensive items in the collection. The lipsticks, I think, are nice if you want a satin lipstick formula, and they do have a few more like neutral kind of nude shades, I think, as well. So you could check those out. The lip glosses, I think there were some glittery shades if you wanted to try those. But yeah, I wouldn't say that you need the entire collection. So I hope that helps you guys in deciding whether you want to pick up anything from this collection. Let me know if you do and what you think of the items. And like I said, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for additional Bridgerton content. But until then, I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.